podcasters, we here, the ladies of Rewatch and Wine, Rhea,
Treva,
and Lynn.
and we are here to bring to you the book to movie adaptation of
Hunger Games 3.
what is it? The Songbirds,
It's four.
Songbirds
It's
and
the-
Snakes.
Yes, the Hunger Games, the Ballad of Songbird and Snake.
Thank you.
Thank
You're
you.
right, it is 4, because Mockingjay was 2.
Yes.
Yeah, gotcha.
And this is written by Suzanne Collins,
Mhm.
same one that wrote the original trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been long awaited. And I've been waiting for this movie adaptation to come out because I was so excited that she actually wrote a fourth book. So, anyways, today we are drinking Fresca. It is a extra dry sparkling rosé wine. So we're getting a little fancy. As you can see, it has sparkles in the
Sparkly.
label.
The book at the beginning had me, I'm like, what the heck is going on? I was a little confused. I was getting the characters mixed up. And then it started to come together for me. I mean, I liked it when it started to come together. And then finally, I just wanted to get to the end to see what happened.
Oh, wow.
Wrap it up.
Great. I actually enjoyed the book. I didn't find it confusing. I enjoyed sort of the pre-story to Snow, but I still don't really have a grasp on how he got so mean. I mean, granted, he had a whole bunch of stuff he was going through, but just reading that book did not like reel in, oh, this is how come he's so mean. And I wanted to have that effect, like you do when you see Wicked. You're like, oh my goodness, this is why the Wicked Witch of the West is so mean. I thought I was going to feel that after reading the book, and I didn't.
So I agree. I was like, I understand being hurt and how he was wronged for so long with his family, his dad being labeled a rebel or a traitor and being killed, and then having to basically starve just like the districts, but he was in the capital. He was angry about that. And then once he had his chance to kind of win money to get his family out of the situation, he had to go through the whole Hunger Games and win the prize. And it was like basically being the best mentor that he felt like he was duped by Lucy Gray. So I think it was all of the hardships together over and over again that made him hard. But then his like changeover when all of a sudden he just was like trying to kill her. I was like,
Right.
how did we end up here? You just loved her. Right? You chose to go to 12 for her. You were all about her, and then the whole trust thing. But it was like, I don't know. I felt like it went from 0 to 60 with like trust to lack of trust.
Yeah.
And maybe that's not what I didn't get about that. But the rest of it I did get. I just was like, how are you so angry so quick?
That's what I'm saying. I felt like it was rushed.
That's what I feel like she was writing that.
Something, and maybe there'll be another one, but something in there was missed. Although the references to you're not your dad, you're not your dad, you're not your dad, maybe made me think, well, maybe it's supposed to be like something in the genes that he's a little evil somehow. I don't know, but I got lost. And then I was like, okay, let's just get to the end because I'm not really sure how we got here.
Well, with his dad, what I got from the book was that I can't remember the character's name at the time, but the two of them wrote the idea for the Hunger Games. His
Mhm.
dad, and then in the movie
The
was Peter
principal
Jacobs'
guy, right?
guy. I can't remember his name at the time, but the two of them wrote the idea of the Hunger Games, just like they were stated in the movie that we'll talk about in a second. But I thought it was originally a joke, and then I guess because his dad wanted to prove himself that snows land on top and snows are always powerful, is why he chose such an extreme measure of dominance.
Yeah.
So with him proving to his family's legacy, his dad's like legacy of landing on top and being in charge, he felt like he maybe had to go so masochistically insane to be like F everybody and
Nobody
nobody
bestie, like he just
Yeah.
how he just
Because I remember in the book, I think it was the bestie that came up with it, and Snow ran with it, and he was so devastated because you're right, it was a joke. But I like that part of the story because I could not fathom how they even got to the Hunger Games in the first place. So I really like that backstory
Yes,
of how it really
agreed.
wasn't something that was designed to truly be implemented.
Or at least just once. It's kind of
Mhm.
how I took it as, it was like, let's remind them of who we are as a capital versus who they are as a district. And then
Mhm.
from then on, we'll be good. I didn't really think that their, what do you call it? I guess the promotion of it was meant to be every year.
Right.
It just was crazy.
Yeah, so there were so many things that just didn't connect for me with like the original trilogy when it came to Snow's personality.
So I kind of did though. So I may cut you off,
Definitely the roses.
but well, the roses, yes. but
Yeah, no, I
what
meant his
really-
personality, like his evil personality in the trilogy, like I was mentioning before, it was just so much that didn't connect for me.
So what didn't connect was his full hate for like the human kind of like a race, but to have so much hate for Katniss from 12.
Oh, that I
resonated-
did.
Okay, yeah,
The
that's what I was
Mockingjay
saying.
and yeah.
Yeah, Mockingjay from 12, and he was in love with Lucy Gray, who technically wasn't from 12, but was from 12. So it's symbolic to him being hurt originally, and she was the first rebel, and then fast forward 75 years, or technically 65, Katniss came about and did
Yeah.
it again.
That piece
Okay.
I like.
That-
And then the obsession with the Mockingjay, because remember, like we didn't close the loop in the original series. So, like, why do you hate the Mockingjay so much? But now she made that clear.
Yeah,
So I did like that piece.
Yeah.
It just seems to me that he should have hated District 1 because they were the ones that kind of put him in the situation that he was in with no money and nobody was really there to help him. And he was trying to keep up this facade to stay there. And the fact that he had to do that, like to me, his animosity should have been towards District 1, not the people.
I think it was towards everyone because District 1 let him down, then he thought
capital
he could, the
itself let him
capital let him down, like every time
That's
he
what I meant,
thought,
capital, not District 1.
every time he started to go on a path that he thought he could get the upper hand or be the savior for his family, it was ripped away.
Yeah.
And I think that's what probably created his hate. Now, I do think that in the book, I didn't get as angry as he was, I didn't get the love, but obviously with Lucy Gray was obviously like his first love. And
Mhm.
so maybe that turned to hate to make it
Yeah,
even worse.
It's a
Well, they-
thin line.
yeah, his first love, but the first person he allowed in his circle
Yeah.
that wasn't his grandmother or his cousin,
Mhm.
Tigress. So I think that was one of the biggest slaps in the face for him, was that he allowed somebody from the outside to get to him when he's always had to have this thick exterior about himself.
Mhm.
Not even just like as a kid through the war, but also you can't show any weakness because of what happened to your dad. You're literally eating potato water like every day,
Right.
trying to grow into a grown man and take care of your grandmother who's delusionally so wishing about chocolate and roses. Like, how do you actually get to the point of being just on solid ground, let alone what he was going through? So I get the anger, but not the quick switch anger.
Right.
But it also could be anger within himself, like you said, that he let her get in. So literally he allowed her to change his course. Like he was on a course to do better for his family. But because he fell in love with her, all that went by the wayside. And then it's like, I did all this for you and wait a minute, now you turned on me?
But did she turn on him?
I think that she started to see his
How evil he
switch.
could be.
Yeah, he could play both sides. He could be evil, but he could be caring. And that she couldn't trust because of, her background being a nomad, basically.
Mhm.
And I think that when she saw that, she was like, look, I'm better off on my own because one day you could switch up because you said you only killed 2 people. And then now you said you killed 3.
And
So
then
it's
she's
like-
the loose end.
Yep, because I was
Yeah.
the only one besides the actual guns that tied him to a crime.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And knowing that, like, at any time, if he switched his mind, you'd be done.
Yeah.
And she probably also figured out like when he was the one who told on the friend.
Yeah, told him a friend, and then
That was
also
so horrible. I was
shot
so angry
somebody
with
else,
him.
and she was like, wait a minute, I'm doing the math of bodies, it's not adding up. Oh, like that whole scene, I listened to the book on on Audible, and just hearing how sad the hanging scene was of Sejanus, and then watching it in the movie, which we'll talk about the adaptation, but that part really got me both times.
Mhm.
So years ago, that song that was it Eartha Kitt
The
song?
hanging tree.
The Hanging Tree. So her song just took me right back to the Hanging Tree. and all the abuse that Eartha Kitt was subjected to, singing that song. I think it was Eartha Kitt. But at any rate, that song that she was singing, I was just like, oh my gosh, this is a hanging tree. I was having some like PTSD.
When it comes in that like silhouette, or not silhouette, not falsetto, I was looking for acapella with no music behind it, and you can just hear like a raw voice.
Mhm.
It definitely like hones into, I mean, people of color,
Mhm.
to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so the movie.
Yeah.
Let's get to the movie.
Was anybody else getting like North Korea vibes from it? Like when they first panned into like this, how the Capitol looked from, well, obviously 65 years ago compared to what the book is now, or the trilogy was, like the gates and how strategic everything was, their clothes and how militant everything looked, especially when they go into the
I
academy.
didn't even think about that. It was really dark for me though.
It was dark, but I don't know anything about North Korea, so that would never have entered this brain.
Oh, I've gone through rabbit holes looking at videos about North Korea,
It
so.
seemed like it was so dark. Not like evil dark, but just like dark filming. And I didn't
And
like it.
detached.
I didn't like it.
Well, that's how.
Except for Lucy Gray, because she was full of color.
Well, her
Right.
color, yes, but like, I mean, that's kind of how like North Korea is. I mean, please don't come after me, North Korea, but that's how like, I see videos of it. It's like people are living their everyday lives, but they have no freedom to have any thought themselves. And they just have to go with what the Capitol says, or you will either starve to death or die, or go to a concentration camp, which still exists to this day, which is crazy. But I was feeling very, if anybody else agrees with me that has seen random videos of North Korea online, please let me know.
There's so many
because-
people watching random videos.
If there's many, right?
Somebody had to post them, so
Right.
you and the person that was posting them.
Right,
here,
right.
okay?
Thousands of views, there's others out there. Yeah, fine.
But yes, I was getting like the militant dictatorship
Yeah,
eerie feeling of when they first honed into the Capitol. Of
yeah.
how these big, like monumental statues of nothing besides dictatorship. When you first like walk in,
Yeah.
and these big pearly gates that like, it's their idea of heaven, but everybody else in society is struggling.
Yep.
That's the vibe that I was getting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, sorry, I had to say that.
That's all right.
So, I mean, it took me a minute. I struggled actually with the movie. I think I had to do it 3 sessions because I kept falling asleep on it.
Were
And
you starting it at midnight?
no,
Okay.
it's at random times during the day.
Okay.
But I don't know. I didn't get sucked into the movie like I did on the other 3. And I can't
definitely.
quite pinpoint what was disappointing about it to me. I know they changed some of the storyline, but that wouldn't have been a reason for me to keep falling asleep on it. But for some reason, it wasn't real in the end. And I'm just gonna say it, and I don't know if people are gonna be upset with me about it, but I was not feeling the cast choice for Snow. And I don't know if that was it, but well, I couldn't get pulled into it. I mean, the first 3 books and the 4 movies, I mean, I'm like glued, I'm watching it, I don't want to blink, I would never fall asleep on them. And this one didn't hold me like those did.
Yeah, but also it's the rushing to me. It's like the scenes either were not long enough to get you engaged, or a couple of scenes were too long, and I'm like, okay, well, what's going on?
Yeah, and I feel like in the original trilogy, not even the movies, but or even I guess the movies, there was downtime, but the downtime had so much detail that you need to pay attention to.
Right.
Not just like when they were actually in the Hunger Games. Like, for example, there was mention in the movie, this newer version, book, adaptation, whatever, the newest one, where they pointed out, oh, she wasn't wearing gray. And in the book, it was stated that, as we know also from the original trilogy, that in District 12, they wore gray or different shades of gray because they were coal miners, and that was the clothing color choice assigned to them, and how Lucy Gray wore her mom's dress that was from the Covey, but it was like there was no definition behind it.
Mhm.
But in the original trilogy, those things were pointed out.
Mhm.
And I feel like they missed the opportunity to make sure we felt the same
The link it all
Pull?
back, yeah.
yes, that like the original trilogy had. Even though I think this book adaptation was so necessary to give the background information of, or I guess as much background information as they could for Snow, how the Hunger Games came into play. I liked all that, but like they just missed the mark on
Something-
really getting it that like
Yeah.
that I can't stop watching. I have to binge the whole series.
Right.
I gotta read the whole series. Like I remember literally traveling with all 3 books with me because God forbid if I was in a different state and didn't have the next book. to read.
Right, right,
And I did
right.
not have that same feeling with this one.
Yep.
But at the same time, I knew it wasn't gonna live up to like the hype of the first 3, but I wanted it to actually come close to like that part.
Should have made those connections so that you felt like you were still part of that trilogy. I mean, you were part of it, but I agree with you that connection to the districts and sort of what they stood for, it just wasn't there. And
My hopes is that like with this one, it was one of those like test the water for Suzanne Collins, and then she's gonna put another book out that kind of gives how he is now into power. He now has the Sejanus, I can't remember their last name, their family money, how he rises and makes the Hunger Games with the next year with Dr. Gall, help they succeed or exceed on that or expand on that.
Yeah.
Expand on it. So we actually can understand how his hate builds and builds and builds.
right,
So that we get to the quarter quell or 74 or whatever, the connections made, because right now it just seems so, why are you so angry
Right.
compared to
That's
the
what I was
Hunger
feeling.
Games where we're like literally bombing a whole city of like people of 800,000 people that died in 12 from the original trilogy to you being like, oh, well, here's some morphlings that you OD. Like, you don't kill one person versus 800,000.
right,
How did we get here?
right.
That's why I think, if anything, maybe there'll be a next book that talks about where Lucy, because I think it all is going to stem back to her. I think everything is going to stem back to her. So she's either gonna do something to hurt him even worse.
Or reappear something.
Yeah,
Has to be.
she's alive and now she's doing things against him because she knows he's this evil person and he was gonna try to kill her because he was shooting at her.
And that was one of the last conversations that he had with Dean Casca, whatever the Peter Dinklage character is, was that like, no one knows where Lucy Gray went. Where'd she go? Like, did she disappear? Was she killed? I don't know. So maybe in the next book, it's gonna be a continuation of like literally Lucy Gray versus, Coriolanus Snow.
Lucy Gray. Wasn't that a song that she sung?
Something, I don't know. It is gonna have to be, sorry, fans, sorry. It's gonna have to be something, and you're right, she could do like a little series on him growing up.
Mhm.
You could do 4 books until he gets to be old.
Well, I hope she does something because there was just so much left off in this book. And even from the book to the movie, like the woman, the mentee or mentor that got the snake bite.
Mender, I thought it was funny.
Mender?
They were mentors that like since the districts weren't educated,
Yeah.
they kept saying mentors
Mentors.
Oh, yeah.
instead of mentors.
Mm-hmm.
Those are little phonetically words that I picked up. But anyways, I'm sorry.
So glad you recognized that. So they went into the book, like what was happening after her, and that like Snow noticed her eyes were yellow and that she was getting the little fins or whatever.
Oh, okay, the scales and stuff.
But they dropped all of that out of the movie. Like they didn't pick up her, she just kind of disappeared and didn't reappear in the
Yeah.
movie. Like what happened to that storyline?
And in the original trilogy, like those were details
Yeah.
that they really showed, especially with like the Capitol's makeup and stuff.
Mhm.
And even with like the mutts in the first Hunger Games or 74, where they were blended faces of the original tributes plus the mutts, like those details are missing.
Right.
So like you had the chance to just draw some fish scales on somebody in the hospital, not fish scales, snake scales, whatever. But yeah, you had the chance to do that, but they dropped the ball on that.
Right. And remember how they were saying like when she started talking, even though she got back in as a mentor, like her tongue kept protruding in and out of her mouth. Like he was noticing all these things about her. I wanted to see that in the movie.
And all she said was, oh, she had the flu. Or she possibly had the flu. No, I want to see her morph into a snake.
Right. Exactly.
That was the whole purpose of these crazy experiments of you creating and having this
I know,
museum of
yeah.
random animals and a whole tank of.
They definitely missed the
Regular
opportunity to like
Or
build some uniqueness.
Or
but
they're gonna
Collins
show it
was-
later.
Collins was involved. They said that she was very involved with this, bringing this book to life. So I'm disappointed because I can't imagine why she wouldn't want it to
She's
be a
so
colorful.
detailed.
Yeah,
So I don't understand why she backed off.
yeah.
Well, I'm sorry. I'm not trying to insult you at all, Colleen, or not Colleen, Suzanne. I'm thinking of calling her for my bad. But Suzanne, I'm sorry.
I said Collins, that's why. But
Yeah,
then-
threw me off.
Yeah.
But I'm not trying to be like pointing the finger, but it's like, why did you take a step back from what we've all loved about your
Yeah.
writing? Like, you're so overly detailed, and as a person that overthinks, I love that.
Yeah, so that's true. That's true. I never thought about that. But again, I'm going to continuously think that there's something else that's gonna come.
Something else
Has to be.
And then they're gonna show those pieces. So they'll show what she was doing. There'll be maybe a story that tells about how she got to where she was. You know what I mean? And then blend that back into show when he came, the situation.
What I really want to see is the relationship between Coriolanus and Tigress. Because in the original trilogy, she looked like a tiger in the Mockingjay. And she was like, I used to be in the capital until he no longer had any like use for her. And it's like that was the person that literally was like your best friend.
Yes.
Help put food on the table, take care of you and your grandmother.
Really made it so that he could survive, like made it so that he could be who he was.
Perpetrate like you had money, like she handmade you
everything for
clothes.
him.
Yeah.
And how did that? And you can see in the movie how their dynamics started to like separate. And I want to see where that goes with that because
Yeah.
I feel like. Sorry, I'm trying to get my thoughts together. I feel like something happened between them to make him even more evil.
Yeah.
It had to be because if that circle was now Lucy Gray gone, and then maybe Graham Mayer or whatever her name was passed away, and the last one was Tigress, maybe that's how he got so evil was because everybody he loved is gone. It's kind of where I'm taking it.
I think so too. And I think that Tigress probably tried to get him to stop because she just made so many little hints about him. So maybe she,
Like, we're not that different.
Yeah.
Like, we're starving too.
yeah, she probably tried to convince him at some point to pull back because he became the man in charge at some point.
Mm-hmm.
So she could have been trying to encourage him to come back and then he attacked her.
Yeah. Okay, so I think we can agree that there's another one coming.
There has to be.
If not, we're gonna go find where she lives.
Exactly.
We're gonna do what's the woman that made that man write the book and that kept her hostage?
Misery.
Yeah, we're gonna do a misery.
We're not gonna take a sledgehammer to your ankle.
We're gonna do a misery
But
and make
we
you
may
write another.
spam your email
Please,
address.
please, it's too much. It's too much. We need answers. We need some closure.
Right.
All right, so I guess we're gonna jump into the cast.
Oh yeah, we forgot about the cat.
Oh, yeah.
Viola. I just
She just
love
looks
me some
so
Viola.
Rough,
She was
and
scary.
crazy, and I love
She
every
mastered
bit
that
of it.
character. Reading that book, that woman was crazy, and
Scary.
she nailed crazy.
And she was so unpredictably crazy. It's like, what is this woman, like each page, I was like, what is she gonna do next? And just seeing how crazy but well put together, like Volumina,
Yeah.
Gull, whatever her name was, Viola Davis, like character, how she looked, I was like, oh yeah, she's captivating every bit of this craziness.
Absolutely. She was, I think, one of the best cast characters on that movie.
And so Rachel Zegler, she played Lucy Gray.
Mhm.
She won the People's Choice Award for her character
Oh.
on the show. I was watching her.
She was good.
Yeah, she was alright.
I keep saying show, movie. Yeah, her voice is a little different, but when she started to actually sing, especially when the snakes were like falling around her, I was like really impressed by her voice.
Mhm. Yeah.
To be a first like big role.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, I love like Peter Dinklage in anything he does. Especially,
Remind me, what character was he?
he was the dean.
Oh, okay. Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
I was getting back to Viola Davis because what if, like, because remember,
She's
Snow,
part of the book now, right?
Whatever.
She's become.
Snow kind of defied her, right? By putting the handkerchief in there.
Mm-hmm.
So what if she then is the one who says, does something Tigress? Like,
Oh, maybe she uses Tigress against him
Mika.
to control him since he's the only one to defy her. I like where you, I see where you're going with
what
that.
did you say before you putting up, you like, what am I saying?
I don't know.
You putting up what I'm putting down.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So you think that she tried to turn her into a tiger?
Yeah, I think she gave her some sort of tiger injection because this also was somebody who he cared about.
Mm.
She got to do something to get back at
I
him.
like him though.
She did,
But she couldn't.
but she don't like defiance.
Yeah.
She respected his brains and his evilness.
But knowing her, she likes to be, on top and
Yeah.
in control. Even
Yeah.
though you're just as diabolical as I am, I still need to be number one.
And I need to let you know I'm in charge at the end of the day.
So I really like, I know this is kind of irrelevant because he's not like a main character, but Caesar Flickerman in the original trilogy is, I guess, a descendant of Lucky Flickerman, which was the host of this was the first year of the hosting.
Mhm.
And his like amateur magic tricks
Mhm.
was so
He's an idiot.
easily like corny in just as well as in the trilogy. So he was like my favorite. Just watching him like toss that coin for no reason. It's like where did the coin go? But at the same time, it's so corny that I loved that character.
Right.
And then he was like, "Give me a drink. I need you to get me a drink."
I honestly, I'm going to tell you something that you guys are going to think is stupid. But when he was throwing up the coin, I thought he was like faking throw up a coin, right?
Mhm.
And then the people were giving him a coin back. That's why he was saying it, like the audience, like they do in the Hunger Games.
I thought at the end of the broadcast, he like randomly caught a coin.
Yeah, because they threw it to him.
Okay, so
I missed that.
everybody missed that.
So I thought people were doing that for him.
They were sending again to the host.
Yeah, that's what helped him. That's what helped
So I
him.
thought it was flicking a coin because his name was Flickerman.
Yeah, well, but there was really no coin.
Hey,
Okay, so you guys ready to rate this adaptation?
whatever.
I give the adaptation, to be honest, for me, I would give it a full glass. I thought it would.
Yeah,
There were
no,
some things that they left out, but it was all right.
I think that they missed.
Too much for you?
They missed. I just didn't. I wasn't taken by the movie, and I actually really liked the book. So I'm going to give it a half glass because I just feel that there was missing a lot of detail that I think could have enhanced the movie, and
then you had a
and then
cast
cut off
problem.
some storylines
And
that
you had a cast problem.
I just didn't understand. Yeah, just one person.
I give it a full glass. I mean, I liked it. I enjoyed it. I think it was necessary. I think they dropped the ball on it from the book and in the adaptation. So that's why I get to full glass, because both of them kind of missed the mark a little bit for me. But they equally were the same, that I needed this like clarification on some of the details. I want to read the next book whenever that one comes out, Suzanne Collins. So I need you to hear this.
Explain that.
So that's why you get a full glass for me.
All right, well, there you have it. It doesn't get a full bottle, but the book is really good. So I encourage you to go read it. And I would love to know what you think about the movie. So let us know.
And also, the other people that randomly go in these rabbit holes and watch things about North Korea, please let me know I'm not crazy with this.
You're not going to get no feedback on that one.
Anyway,
Yay! Thank
All
you
right.
so much for tuning in to us, listening, watching, liking, subscribing.
Oh my goodness, are you Cinderella?
right?
What's
I'm
happening?
feeling like really enchanted, like Mary Poppins. You have a bag you're about to open up and pull a boat out of.
I thought a bird was getting ready to fly on her shoulder.
It was an earlier TikTok.
Mockingjay,
Right.
Jabberjay.
That's what it was,
Yeah.
exactly. All right, well, check us out on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. And let us know what you think, and let us know what you want us to read and review.
Please, please, please. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.